The final topic, topic 5 for paper 1, deals with exothermic and endothermic reactions. So exothermic reaction is these type of reactions where heat is given off to the surrounding. Remember that reactant's energy will be higher than the energy of the product for exothermic reaction. They usually ask you to draw the energy profile and to label the activation energy and the overall energy change. So this is for exothermic reaction. Remember that the products have lower energy, and the activation energy is the difference between the energy of the reactants to the top point of the energy profile, and the overall energy change is the difference between the energy of the reactants and the energy of the product. The overall energy change for the exothermic reaction is negatively is an it has a negative value. The exothermic reaction, on the other hand, as a definition, is a reaction where heat is taken in from the surrounding. The reaction here, the reactant energy is lower than the energy of the product. Again, activation energy would be the difference between the energy of the reactant and the top point, and the overall energy change is the difference between the energy of the reactants and the products. The overall energy change here is going to be positive value. Cells and batteries is the last topic we will cover for paper 1. So the difference between electrochemical cells and electrolysis is that electrochemical cells uses chemical reaction to generate electricity, while electrolysis uses electricity to generate chemical reaction. So in electrochemical cells, you have two electrodes here, and the electrodes have to be metals, and they have to be two different metals. If you use the same metals, no electricity will be generated in the electrochemical cell. And these two metals will be, or two electrodes, are connected together by a wire from the outside. Don't connect them within the electrolyte here. So just connect them from the outside. And there is a voltmeter here which measures the voltage change. And then these are two are immersed in an electrolyte, and the electrolyte will have ions which can move and which can react with the electrodes. So a chemical reaction between the electrolyte and the electrodes will generate electricity. The bigger the difference between the reactivity of the two electrodes, the metals of the electrode, the higher the voltage that we get. And this is a common question as well, where they give you values for the voltage difference and ask you to decide which one is more reactive, or arrange certain metals according to their reactivity. So the higher the difference, the higher the reactivity, the difference in the reactivity. The hydrogen fuel cell, the most important point you need to know about the hydrogen fuel cell, which is the very common question in the exam, is the equation. So in hydrogen fuel cell, hydrogen react with oxygen to give you water. So this is the reaction that takes place in hydrogen fuel cell. The ionic equations as well, you need to know that because sometimes they ask you to write the ionic equation. So you can write the ionic equation for hydrogen, where hydrogen gets oxidized to give a hydrogen ion and loses two electrons, or oxygens get reduced where it reacts with hydrogen ion and it gains electrons to give you water. So these are the two ionic equations. Sometimes they ask you to write both or to write just one, at least one. So you need to familiarize yourself with these equations. And finally, if they ask you about hydrogen fuel cell, a very common question would be to differentiate or to evaluate the use of hydrogen fuel cells versus rechargeable cells and battery. So remember that hydrogen fuel cells are easily or quickly refueled, while the rechargeable cells and battery, they have to be connected to electricity source, so they take a very long time to be recharged. The hydrogen fuel cell, the batteries do not need to be replaced, but the rechargeable cells, they have a certain life, so they need to be replaced eventually. Hydrogen itself is a gas, so it's very difficult to handle, but the rechargeable fuel cells, they do not use hydrogen, they are just connected to electricity source, but they are very difficult to dispose and they are not biodegradable. The only product for hydrogen fuel cell is water, so there is no waste product. It's better for the environment. Although rechargeable cells also don't have any harmful waste product, but because the batteries have to be disposed at the end of its life when it's replaced, then there is a problem here in the disposal of the chemicals of the batteries inside the battery. And a hydrogen fuel cell is less expensive, while rechargeable one is more expensive. A very quick note here is to remember the difference between rechargeable batteries and the non-rechargeable ones. So rechargeable batteries can be recharged as the chemical reaction inside the battery is reversible. So you can reverse the reaction if you connect it to outside electricity source. While non-rechargeable batteries, the chemical reaction inside the battery is irreversible. So once the reactants are used up or the chemicals are used up, then the reaction cannot be reversed and the battery cannot be recharged or reused. Now we get to the end of this video. Please remember to like and share and subscribe on my channel, and good luck with to everyone who is setting this